Hello. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Is it a happy Wednesday afternoon? Of course it is. We're alive. We're here together. You have hopefully finished for the day, whatever it is that you're doing, and you're getting ready to log off. Have a beautiful, nutritious dinner. If you're here in Brisbane and it's 5:30 p.m. your time. Of course, who knows where you are or what time it is. So make sure you say hi in the comments and let me know where you're coming from. Let me know what time it is. Let me know what's going on for you. We are here for our weekly live and what I like to call a bit of our midweek momentum. So yeah, let me know in the comments. How's your week going so far? If you are an emoji person and that's all you have in you today, that's totally fine too. Let me know, give me an emoji in the comments and show me what is describing your energy right now. All right, if you're watching live, please make sure you say hello. It's always nice to know I'm not talking to myself. Not that I necessarily have a problem with that. But if you are catching the replay, even more importantly, type replay so I can come back and chat with you. See what your takeaways were. Do you have any questions? Yeah, and is there something that you need to chat through a little bit further? Sometimes it's actually the goodness comes when you've had chance to watch it, but then have a moment to think about it. I know I always have these aha moments afterwards, and I want to loop back and ask questions. So I want to give that opportunity to you as well. This is not a one and done session, okay? Our community is so much better than that. We're really here to keep the conversations going, keep the growing going, and redefine midlife. And we're only going to do that by keeping these conversations going. And if you have a question, to ask it. All right. Have I given you a nice warm welcome? Are you having a cuppa, a late afternoon cuppa? I am. I really needed a little cup of tea to get me started for this. So that's what's in my mug this afternoon. And then obviously I'll finish up here and I'll go down and cook myself some dinner. All right. So today we are diving into a really big one. Okay. I've been hearing and having lots of discussions with people around some of the things that have been or are keeping us stuck. But there's really been some questions about, well, what are they? Because I don't notice them. And if we don't notice them, we can't really deal with them. We can't ask any questions. We can't learn from it. Hello, Wendy. Nice and early there, 7:30 in the morning. And, it's a little bit warmer than last week. You've got a whole 3 degrees outside. But I bet it's not that where you are, nice and warm, tucked up in your bed. Hello, Crystal. Welcome to the community. It's nice to have you here. Yeah, Crystal is also in Brisbane and it has been a bit steamy today, hasn't it? It's been a little bit warm and I haven't switched my aircon on. I've only got my fan on. So if you start to see me sweat up, that's why. It's still warm for this time in the afternoon. So it's so great to have you here. Welcome. All right. So this big topic of, there's something holding me back. I feel stuck, but I don't know what it is. Okay. And what I'm finding is that, and I've experienced this over the years, right? There's this invisible rule book that we have. And it feels like it's been running our life without us even realizing it. Has that happened to you? Have you kind of feel like there's these rules or there's these ways that we should do things? And I know I talk about should in inverted commas a lot, but it comes up so regularly. And every now and again, I catch myself saying, should be, right? And yes, I can list, I was on, I did some Facebook stories yesterday, and I can list a whole bunch of shoulds, right? You should be the perfect mother. You should be the perfect partner. You should be the perfect employee, the perfect friend. And the list really is endless. It's huge, right? Some of the ones that sort of really popped into my mind yesterday, let me grab my list. I'm trying to remember. Yesterday, I was really on this shoulds. And I think it was mostly probably for me, just as much for you. But yeah, it's this always putting, you should put your family first, right? And then you should be the glue that holds everything together. These are some of the ones I talked about yesterday. This one I've definitely felt in the past 12 months. You should look after your aging parents without complaint. It feels so heavy for me because I want to be able to look after my mum and Rob's mum. Sometimes I feel like I should just be able to have a little bit of groan about it, a bit of a whinge almost, or just to release the negative that happens behind it. But I don't feel like I should complain, right? How easy is it to throw the word should? You should maintain a respectable career and not take big risks. This was me for a long time. And some women I've been speaking to this week, it's been showing up for them, especially in terms of starting a business and then also having a career change. Some of the Facebook groups I'm in, there are women in there, really feeling the fact that they don't have the support from their partner, or at least it feels like they don't have the support from their partner, because their partner's not like, yes, go and start the business. Oh, yeah, it's a bit tough this week, but that's okay. Just keep going. We haven't earned any income for a few months, but that's okay. It's coming. It's hard, right? And when we're feeling like we need the career change, or we're feeling like we want to start a business, we're just expecting our partner to come on this journey with us and be all in. But it's scary, and there's bills to pay, there's mortgages to pay. I've experienced this. My poor husband just kind of got thrown into it. And he's found himself being, the sole income earner in the beginning, for sure. And that adds a lot of pressure, right? But then what it also does is add a lot of pressure to me. Oh, maybe I shouldn't really take these big risks. So that's definitely a should that has existed in my life. What else? Oh, I know for some of the mums, it's you should keep the house running smoothly because that's your role. Oh, right. Even if you work full time, the mental load of meal planning and cleaning and remembering birthdays and managing the household still feels like it falls on you. And it's heavy. It's really heavy. Society still feels scared and uncomfortable when we don't prioritize stability over passion. So there's a really heavy should. Oh, and the real chestnut, I didn't go into this on Facebook stories because it can be a bit controversial, but this has definitely shown up for some women that I know and me for a little while there. You should age gracefully, but not too much. So society tells women, embrace aging. But then also, what are all the ads that we see? We're pushing anti-aging treatments. So it kind of makes us feel like we should look younger to stay relevant, to stay visible, right? These really make us feel really pressured. Is anyone else feeling that? It's really been a heavy one for me, some of these things, especially the way I look. right? That's really been quite heavy for me. Hello, Louise. Yes, go. I know you're up in beautiful Townsville right now. Just stay dry, okay? Just stay dry and have a great time with your dad. Yeah, Wendy, you've clearly experienced this as well. So she's saying we should be able to live our lives, but it's the rule book that stops us. And it's not like anybody specifically sits down and says, okay, like I was watching something on Netflix recently, and, you know, it's a bit of a history for the royal family in Vienna. Now, I mean, you know, take it with a grain of salt, it's Netflix, but they're almost taught how to behave. They're told the rule book. Well, that doesn't happen anymore because that's deemed inappropriate, and we all like to think we've advanced so much more than that. But have we? Right? I laugh, but it's so serious. It's so true. I have felt these rules, whether they're a story of mine or my mum's or my grandmother's or my dad's mum or wherever they've come from, I've felt them, and they have stopped me from taking risks, from feeling me, from feeling like it's okay to be me, to say the things. Now, some of you may get a bit of an idea of this if you've been in here for a while, in this group for a while, and following me for a while. Every now and again, I might say things that Louise will laugh at this. She's known me for a very long time. I might say things that are not so tactful sometimes. I might get straight to the point because, come on, there's a message to be said. And I may have the best of intentions. However, it's not always taken the way it's intended. And I get that afterwards. But what can happen then is, you know, people want me to be outspoken. They want me to start these conversations. But then when I get a bit loud about it, it's like, there's been times even my husband we've been out to dinner and I get the look. It's like, you're saying too much. Shh. And even now, I literally, when someone sort of does a shh, I flare up. The red mist takes over and the cranky Francis can sometimes show up. All right, so I know that I'm not alone. Wendy and yourselves have sort of pointed that out, and I know because of so many women that I'm speaking to. So the list is endless, right? I've just named a few of the ones that have really stood out to me lately. So we know that if we try and step out of this, guilt, doubt, fear, all of these really uncomfortable feelings show up. Okay. Now, I've shared some of my personal experiences just now and previously as well. I definitely have felt like I was constantly checking boxes and would be what I thought fulfilled for a little while. And then I wasn't. Didn't last very long. Almost like, you know, that impulse shopping. I'm going to buy a dress. I'm going to buy a dress because I'll feel better. And then funnily, I wear it a second time. I'm like, yeah. And it just gets thrown to the back of the cupboard. It doesn't make me feel good for a long time. I'm not fulfilled by it. So if you're feeling this way, there is nothing wrong with you. I want to be very clear about that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. The problem is the invisible weight of these societal expectations that we've been carrying for years, all right? So that's why I really want to cover the 6 hidden traps that are keeping you stuck. So if you're feeling stuck, this is really going to resonate for you. There's gold here. I hope you've got pen and paper, but obviously this will be out on a replay, so you can always go back to it. So let's get into them because I've got 6. And a lot of my coaching runs through these in some way, okay? So I talk a lot about the should syndrome. This is where we are living by everyone else's expectations. You should be grateful. You should be happy with what you have. You should put everyone else first. Now, they don't always say it in those words, but that's the expectation, right? And what this is doing is this is keeping you trapped in people-pleasing mode. That's where I was, people-pleasing mode. Always meeting everyone else's expectations or needs. And I was never asking, what do I want? What do I want? Okay, I was never asking that. And if this is you, it might be why you feel restless, resentful, or even lost. If those feelings are coming up for you, you could be stuck in the people-pleasing mode because you've been living for others instead of for yourself. Now, the shift here is instead of asking, what should I do? Ask, what do I want to do? Okay? Instead of asking, what should I do? Ask, what do I want to do? And get in practice of asking that question. Okay. All right. So, number 2 is, I talk about this one a lot too, the inner critic. And I know that term's used pretty broadly, widely even these days. But this is really around that guilt and self-doubt. So this is where you might start to hear or feel you're being selfish for wanting more. I had a bit of that too. I feel like I've got everything perfect. On paper, I was at a networking event today, and one of the women that I was speaking to, she said exactly the same thing. She's like, on paper, I've got everything. But what I've also got is debt from going to university because I thought I had to. A mortgage because I had to buy a home. So there were then all of these impacts on her. And on paper, it looks like she's got everything she should want. But we were talking about what was missing for her. So if you have this voice, I always talk like she's over here, who whispers to you, who do you think you are? Or what if you fail? It's keeping you frozen in place, right? So it makes you second guess your choices. It makes you apologize for wanting time for yourself. I know a lot of mums feel this one. And talk yourself out of opportunities. Because who do you think you are? So if this sounds like you, if this resonates for you, and by the way, let me know in the comments which one of these is feeling like yourself. But if the shift here is really to start catching that voice and calling it out. Okay, so here, ask yourself, would I say this to my best friend? Okay, if not, you don't deserve to say that to yourself either. Because there is no bestest friend than you should be to yourself. Okay. All right, number 3, the midlife myth. The lie that your best years are behind you. Again, I was talking to this woman today, and obviously I use the term midlife a lot. When I have Googled midlife, the ages it gives me, and she had just found this out and she was shocked. Google will tell you that midlife is between the age of 35 and 60, but could be anywhere either side. That's a very big range. So this woman I was talking to today, she's 38. She said, I'm midlife. She said, I don't feel it, which was interesting because, you know, what does midlife feel like? Right. So we don't necessarily always think about midlife and what it means going forward. But what we do is we get stuck in, I wish I was like I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I wish my body was like that. I wish my hair was like that. Very material things. I wish I could be like I was 5, 10, 15 years ago. And it's this lie that your best years are behind you. And then we start to go, oh, midlife means it's time to slow down and you're too old to start something new, right? This is where we've been conditioned to believe it's the beginning of the end instead of it's just the beginning of a new chapter, a new era, just like when you went from your 20s to your 30s. Okay? And this belief, what I hear a lot is it's keeping women from starting new careers or trying new hobbies, traveling, dating even, or just simply wearing what it is that they want. I remember when my daughter was, they announced they were getting married, her and her partner, and I literally Googled, what does a mother-in-law do? I mean, it was kind of out of interest, but why did I do that? Why did I think I've got to change the way I am? So if this is sounding like you, the shift here is to flip the script. Midlife is not the end. It's the moment where you finally have the freedom to choose your own path. Doesn't that feel so much better to hear? Try saying it. I have the freedom to choose my own path. It feels so good. It feels so different. Oh, Wendy's saying she's got that voice a lot. Is that the inner critic? Yeah. Yeah. Or are you thinking your best years are behind you? Which one is it? So now I'm going to move on to number 4. And this is one you might not have heard me talk about a lot, but it definitely is one of the things that I cover in a lot of my coaching. And I call it the lone warrior trap. So this is where we feel like we have to do it all alone. Sounds familiar, right? This is where we have a bit of the attitude, if you want it done right, you do it yourself. Now, women are taught to be the fixers, the caregivers, the ones who hold everything together. But doing it all alone leaves us exhausted. It leaves us disconnected from ourselves and other people. And without the support you need to make real change. So when you know you want to make real change, or you should, you don't ask for the help. And as human beings, we are designed to work as a community. We crave it. And yet we're all stepping away from asking for help, from having that tribe. So if this is you, the shift for you is start allowing yourself to receive help, encouragement, and community. You absolutely don't have to do this alone, which is one of the big reasons I created this community, so that you don't feel like you have to do it alone. Because you absolutely don't. And if you want to achieve something faster, like change and whatever that change is for you, it will happen faster when you have a community, when you ask for help. Okay? It's a trick that keeps us stuck for sure. All right. Number 5, the energy drain. This is burnout and overwhelm I'm talking about. So this is where our head or our story is, I'll take care of myself when everything else is done. Now, you're taking out some time with me this afternoon, and this is taking care of yourself. However, I'm interested to know if there's anyone that ever says, oh, I'll get my food or I'll eat once everybody else is all sat down and all sorted or got their food. No. That is putting yourself absolutely last. And if you put yourself last, you're showing everybody else how to do that too. So how often do you put your own needs last? This is where we really, again, are running on empty, feeling resentful, which makes us sick. And then not having energy to create this life that we really want, that we say we really want, that we're working on these goals. And yet we're putting ourselves last. No wonder you're too tired to go for that walk, cook dinner, have a shower, wash your hair, basics. No wonder. And this is really where I talk about self-care is not a luxury. It is absolutely a necessity. 5 minutes a day, putting on a nice little moisturizer, or standing in silence and just drinking some beautiful filtered water. These small things really can change everything. Most importantly, they show yourself that you are important. And these are the things that start to shush that little inner critic. Okay, let me just see if we've got any. Oh, Crystal, you've done that. Putting yourself last. Is that what we're referring to? Wendy is talking about the inner voice, the inner critic. Yeah. No, Wendy, you definitely should not behave. I'm never going to encourage that. So if that's what you were hoping for, you're never going to get that from me. Okay, so the very last one that I want to talk through before we end today's session is the comfort zone keeper, the fear of change. This is where we think, what if I fail? What if people judge me? Now, this is showing up when we've got the fear of unknown, and it keeps you stuck in routines that don't even fulfill you, or it keeps you stuck in routines where you're putting yourself last. Okay? Now, a lot of women, including myself, I'll put my hand up to this one, stay in unfulfilling jobs, or they stay in relationships that are unfulfilling, or then they stay in habits like feeding themselves last, because it's the devil they know. It feels safer than the unknown. Now, I've tried things like, saying to myself, well, I've even used that, well, it's better the devil you know. That's a terrible story for us to use, because that keeps us stuck. I would even say, keep the devil closer to you, because then you can know what's going on. No, these are all bad ideas, ladies, all bad ideas if this is you. So the shift here is, instead of asking, what if I fail? It's actually, the more important question is, what if it actually works? Because when you start to ask that question, you start to dream, And you can start to put little plans or ideas, or, okay, if that was actually possible and that actually looks like this, what would I need to be okay with that or to do that thing? So you can feel a little bit more in control and a little bit better prepared, which is what we're trying to do by staying in these particular situations. The what if I fail? So it's a reframe that still achieves the same thing for you, but with a better result. And this is really all about, yeah, it's just as scary, isn't it? Yes. These traps, the main thing is really about awareness, okay? Because once you start becoming aware, you can take action. I know I've talked about this with you before, but it is so true. Awareness is the key. Now, if you, like another lady I'm in the private messages with at the moment, says things like, yeah, but I try and work through these, but then I something sets me back and then I have to restart. That's okay. That's absolutely okay, because what happens is you never restart from the same place. You restart with some wisdom and some, okay, I was actually able to get to that point. I'm starting to see what good feels like. So you never start from way back at the beginning. So don't ever be scared to restart. Okay. I am well aware that, I've taken up 30 minutes of your time. If you've got any questions or anything you want me to cover, please drop them in the comments. But I always love to give a little bit of homework. So I've got a challenge for you. So now that we've uncovered these 6 traps, the important thing to do once we're aware is to shift into action, because that's where change happens. So I want you to ask yourself, which one of the traps has been holding you back the most? Because there's always an element of each of them, but which has been the strongest? So is it the should syndrome? Is it the inner critic? Is it the midlife myth? My younger years were better. The best is gone. Is it the lone warrior trap, where reaching out for help or support is not something you do? Is it the energy drain, where you are putting yourself last? Or is it the comfort zone keeper, where you are staying in unfulfilling job, unfulfilling relationship, unfulfilling habits? Which one of those is you? I would love you to be brave and add that to the comments. And let's work through this week one of the mindset shifts that I gave you earlier in this session. So you may need to go back and replay the shift for you. Okay. And I would love for you to commit to practicing it for the next week until our next live session together. Okay. Which of the traps, there's 6 in total, which one of them has been holding you back the most? Now commit to practicing the shift that I provided for each of those. Yes, Crystal, just one. I know, right? It's difficult. And you know what? If it all feels overwhelming, start with the first one, the should syndrome. That's how I worked through them. I started at the beginning and just worked through each one. Okay, 1 week on the should syndrome, 1 week on the inner critic. You can do it like that, or you can spend a month on each. It's not going to be wasted energy. I promise you that. All right, so Don't forget to share, ladies, and I look forward to supporting you throughout the week with that. I really want you to walk away from this session knowing that you are not stuck. These shoulds and these traps, they've been handed to you by society and generations, but you do not have to accept them anymore. That's why we are redefining midlife. You get to decide what this chapter looks like. You have control, no matter what you've been told about that in the past. Now, if you loved this conversation, let me know. Make sure to join me next Wednesday when we've got our next midweek momentum. And if you're ready to release one of these shoulds and we are not yet working together, I would love for you to put in the comments, I'm breaking free. Let me know I'm breaking free and I will support you through that. I'll be in touch on to how I can support you through that. As usual, again, if you've heard something that you know is useful for one of your friends, knowledge is power, ladies, share it. Let's support each other. I appreciate you spending your Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, Wendy, with me. And I look forward to seeing you next week. I'm really glad you enjoyed it, Wendy. Thank you. You should get up and you should embrace your day. Clever use of should there. All right. I will talk to you all next Wednesday, if not before. Take care. All right. Much love.